Hey guys, this is Coach Smith with another video. So this video is a little bit personal for me, but it's something I have to really get off my chest. Cause one, I hope this person sees this, and two, I really hope that someone down the line can learn from this to help someone else. So this is about a time where a famous gospel singer called me the devil in front of a whole congregation. So back in 2011, 2012, I was a part of this church. And my ex-wife and I had joined this church. And they were thriving. They were starting to come up a lot, made a lot of connections, and they started doing revivals, something that we have not seen in a very long time. So I remember this is the time I had really long dreadlocks. I was really into myself. And this particular night, we had a packed house. It was a female preacher. She was there, and she was preaching, and it was a whole bunch of people. It was like throughout the whole week, and I remember I had to go run to drop someone off. I had to go help someone do something. But I do remember this particular night, this famous gospel recording artist was singing at this particular service. Now, I haven't heard of him, but then I started listening to his music. I was a really big fan, and I was excited to see this guy. I wanted to meet him. I wanted to talk to him. I was ready. I was hyped for this, man. I was ready for this. But I had left out when the service had started. And when I was coming in, he was already singing. So when I heard him singing, literally chills went through my body. And I rushed into the sanctuary. Now, there's this guy who I know. I've known him for a very long time. And this guy he's very animated, okay? And he's the type of person, he likes to be seen a lot, okay? And he was an usher for this church because he was going to the church beforehand. And so I walk in, and I'm trying to find my ex-wife, where she was. And so I'm walking. He was like, "What you looking for?" And I'm looking for. Mind you, I'm not trying to pay him no mind because I see he's drawing a lot of attention. Now, before I get to this, there was a woman in the front row. She's a pastor. Her husband's a pastor. Okay. But I dated her niece back in high school. Long story short, her niece did something very deceptive, but I got the blame for it. And so now this woman has a picture painted in her mind of me. So when I seen her, I already knew this was going to be, I already knew how she felt about me and how I felt about her. So I walk into the church, and mind you, the gentleman, he's causing a lot of attention, trying to ask me where I'm trying to sit. And I'm like, man, so people are looking at us and they're staring at me. And then dude was like, "Don't let the devil get you off of your," and I mean, and the lady who really didn't care for me was like, "Hallelujah." She did one of those. So I'm like, oh shoot, here we go. So now mind you, everybody's focus is on me. So I had to leave back out, and I come back. I walk down the aisle. The same gospel recording artist looks back at me and shakes his head. Like, dude, like all this is not called for. So now I'm the unholy one in the church. So this woman preached. She preached. She was talking about deliverance. She was talking about going through the mud, how God made her clean. She was preaching. And I got delivered that night. I started dancing. I started shouting. And mind you, I was the only one there doing it. So, mind you, since this gospel recording artist didn't care for me, and this one particular woman didn't care for me, people didn't think my stuff was real. And then so I heard, I was coming out of it, and this woman, the preacher woman started snickering. She's like, "We like to see the things that God has done on tonight." Started laughing at me like I was a joke. And the dude, he started laughing, and the woman started laughing at me. And all because he said that, I had this label. And that night when I accepted Christ, I didn't feel accepted by God's people. And mind you, this dude thrives to this day. He's an amazing gospel singer. He's a very diehard Christian, but it's Christians like that make it hard for Christians like me. If you guys are in the church and God has delivered you, you can't treat everyone like they beneath you. You got to encourage them and bring them along the ride. And I didn't feel that. And mind you, my first lady, my pastor, they all laughed at me too. No one took me serious. And that hurt me to the core. And we have a lot of people out here who are singing, preaching, who treat people that way. And it was hard for me to walk through those doors again. It was hard for me to even go to any of the revivals. I didn't want to go to the rest of those revivals. The only reason why I stayed at that revival was because our first lady preached a sermon, God messed up your nest. And at that moment, that's when I started caring more about the word than more about God's people. But in the back of my mind, I always felt unaccepted. And so every time I tried to be a part of something, every time I tried to do something, I got rejected. All because of that one little situation. And all I did was walk into the sanctuary. You guys don't know how hard it was for me to bounce back from that. And how hard it was for me to accept black churches, accept our culture. Because I hate to say it, black folks, we don't go to church no more. It's not about religion no more. It's about culture. We do things a certain, like we expect to do things a certain way. And then when people don't do the things you expect them to do, then you shut them out. You make fun of them. You talk about them. If they don't shout and dance a certain way, you shout and dance, you'll talk about them. If they can't sing, you'll talk about them. If they can't hoop and holler the way you do it, then they'll talk about you. And the people that you talking about and the people that you keep on pushing away from the church are really the ones who have real purpose and assignment for God's kingdom. God loves sinners. And matter of fact, it was the church folks who killed Jesus. The ones with their nose up in the air, the ones who was calling people this, calling people that, those are the ones who killed Jesus. It was the sinners who have those stories in the Bible. It was the sinners, the ones that Jesus healed. It was the sinners that Jesus made his disciples. It was the sinners who followed him to Calvary. So I need to let you guys know, you have to stop. Because people are not as strong as I am. People don't trust God as much as I do. And they just need someone like you to bring them to the light. But when you do things like that, you are turning people away, and you have to answer to God for that one. And I just pray to God that he shows grace and mercy upon you, that he does for other people. And I get it. Once you get to a certain status, you act a certain way. But when it comes to God's kingdom, we cannot do that. So this is to people out here. Let's turn it down a notch. Remember who you were before you met Christ. And remember who God did for you, the sinner. And to the ones who feel like they're not accepted, to the ones who feel like they're not good enough to come into the church or people talking about you, keep going. If you got to stay at home and read your word, if you got to have church by yourself, keep going. Keep going. Because the people who talked about you, the people who laughed at you are going to be the ones to brag they know you, are going to be the ones to brag to say they came across your acquaintance. They're going to be the main ones trying to get a part of the show that you were part of. Keep going. Because if God be for you, who can be against you? I hope this video blesses you. All right. If you like any more of my videos, please comment, subscribe, and hit that little bell down there for notifications, guys. Again, guys, this is Coach Smith signing off with another video. God's got your back. God bless.